15 in 2022 and heading into the Animoca Brands Grand Prix of Aragon. The big question is, who can stop Pecco Bagnaia and Ducati? 4 wins in the last 4 races mean the pressure is building on Fabio Quattoraro and Aleix Espargaro. Marc Marquez is back from injury to add to the intrigue. It's time to race in MotoGP. We've been coming to MotorLand Aragon since 2010. One of 5 anti-clockwise tracks on the MotoGP calendar, with Austin, Sachsenring, Phillip Island and Valencia. 5.077 kilometres in length, about a 3-hour drive away from the beautiful city of Barcelona. A wide variety of hairpins, fast and flowing sections. Frankie Morbidelli has the best race lap on the Yamaha here a couple of years ago, and this was the conclusion of the epic fight between Marc Marquez and Pecco Bagnaia here in 2021. Overtaking hotspot turn 14 and 15. Bagnaia, of course, took his first win here 1 year ago. Coming up next then in MotoGP, Ducati's future teammates shine in the present again as Bagnaia and Bastianini prep for another epic showdown. Aleix Espargaro eyes a podium return to keep the pressure on at the top of the World Championship. He starts 4th. Fabio Quattoraro prepares to fight like a lion again, with the reigning world champion roaring away from 6th. And there could be fireworks from the 5th row as Marc Marquez enters the battle for the first time in 112 days. Hello and a very warm welcome back then to MotorLand Aragon. 2 intriguing races in Moto3 and Moto2 to whet the appetite for the 23-lap Animoca Brands Grand Prix of Aragon here, round 15, as we start to move towards the decisive phase of this year's World Championship, which is still being led by reigning world champion Fabio Quattoraro. 30 points clear the Frenchman sits of Pecco Bagnaia, who goes for more history today, chasing a 5th straight win on the factory Ducati, and Bagnaia starts from pole position. Ducati securing a record-breaking 12th pole here in Aragon yesterday. Beautiful weather, almost perfect ideal conditions for Grand Prix motorcycle racing. Look at that, 23 degrees ambient temperature, 40 degrees track temperature, not a lot of breeze blowing around at this beautiful circuit. Just a short drive away from the historic picturesque town of Alcaniz. We've been welcomed here with open arms, haven't we? The 14th time we've been racing at MotorLand Aragon. And MotoGP coming up in about half an hour's time. Matt Burt, Lewis Sotheby and Simon Crayford are talking you through all the action. And this is the moment fans all around the world have been waiting for. It's 112 days since Marc Marquez last raced in the MotoGP World Championship. But the 8 times world champion is back in his natural habitat. It's been a long journey to be back here. This was the message on Marc's social media on race day. Let's enjoy it. It's going to be a tough race. He starts from the front of the 5th row in 13th place. Of course, he's only done short bursts of 4 or 5 laps throughout this Grand Prix weekend. This will be a mentally and physically taxing 23-lap race for Marc Marquez. But after that career-saving 4th operation on that right humerus bone back in early June over in Minnesota with world-renowned specialists in America, it's the sight we all wanted to see. A sight we fear we might not see until 2023, but Marc Marquez is back.
The words that stood out to me on that tweet were, let's enjoy it. He's not been enjoying his racing really for a couple of years since that horrible crash in the Spanish Grand Prix of 2020, but he is now able to ride as he would like in his comfortable position on the bike, and he's in a position to attack today. He goes from 13th on the grid 10 places behind this man, Enea Bastianini, who was in many ways the talk of the San Marino Grand Prix for his attempts to try and snatch victory from Pecco Bagnaia. It feels as if he and this man, Pecco Bagnaia, are the two pre-race favourites. They had the front of the race all to themselves in the closing stages in San Marino. Could we be set for a rematch here at MotorLand this afternoon?
Our three last grids in the MotoGP World Championship this year have featured the same three riders. One young fan getting a great memento of this Aragon Grand Prix weekend. Pecco Bagnaia starts from pole position. He's on the front row yet again, just as he was in Austria, just as he was in Misano, with Jack Miller and Enea Bastianini. Added intrigue, of course, after the Misano showdown between Bagnaia and Bastianini last time out. Their future teammates in the Factory Ducati team, will they be going hammer and tongs at it again here this afternoon? We just saw there, didn't we, a quick glimpse of the reigning world champion Fabio Quattoraro. This blitz of victories from Pecco Bagnaia is piling the pressure on Quattoraro at the top of the championship. His lead has shrunk. 91 points clear Fabio Quattoraro was of Pecco Bagnaia just 4 races ago. But those 4 wins in Assen, Silverstone, the Red Bull Ring and last time out in Misano means Fabio Quattoraro has lost 61 points in just 4 Grand Prix to Pecco Bagnaia. He looks cool, he looks calm, he looks relaxed, but Lewis, he's got a big task today down that near 1,000 metre back straight. The Yamaha outgunned by as much as 10 kilometres an hour. He says he's losing about 4/10 of a second in that 4 split, and he's got yet again an army of Ducatis ahead of him to contend with.
His points lead is looking increasingly precarious, isn't it? With, well, 6 races to go, he's no longer in a position now where if Pecco Bagnaia wins every remaining Grand Prix, and the form he's on at the moment, who would bet against him, he can no longer just finish second, Fabio Quattoraro. And at the moment, I think he might take a second place here today because he's struggling badly to overtake Ducatis around this circuit. And even when he does, they're likely to overtake him back again down that back straight. It's a similar challenge awaiting Aleix Espargaro here today. He also says he's giving up the best part of 10 kilometres an hour to the Ducatis on that back straight, the approach to turn 16. So can Aleix Espargaro do anything to try and keep himself firmly in the title picture? He's just a couple of points behind Pecco Bagnaia at the moment, 33 off the lead of Fabio Quattoraro, heading into circuits that he and Aprilia generally, historically, have liked.
Aleix Espargaro, the only rider to score points in all 14 Grand Prix so far this year, but no podium in the last 6, no front row in the last 5. Pre-weekend, and certainly after Friday, we were expecting this man to figure prominently at the front. The Maverick Vinales fan club, they're out in force. That's at the reverse corkscrew, but since a very positive Friday afternoon for Maverick Vinales, where he was very optimistic, talking big about winning this Aragon Grand Prix, well, that's still not out of the equation, of course, because he will start this race, but a lot of work to do. A big challenge coming through from 16th place on the grid. He's always had great support, though, hasn't he, in this part of the world, Maverick Vinales, on the podium in 3 of the last 4 Grand Prix, but starting from the back of row 6.
He needs all the fan power he can get here this afternoon to come through from the 6th row of the grid. He's 1 row behind this man, Marc Marquez, who many had him down already as a potential podium contender here this weekend. He brought back some of the great Marc Marquez memories here yesterday. A dramatic save into turn 16 and 17. You can see the smile on his face, a little bit of grimace there as he's stretching out the muscles and getting ready to go racing once again. A feeling that Marc Marquez lives on, a feeling that he's missed ever since he gave us a wave on his way to Parc Fermé, to the pit box in the Italian Grand Prix. We feared we might not see him again this season, but he is back here and he is ready to attack from P13.
And even when you've won 8 World Championships, even when you've won 85 Grand Prix, 138 podiums, he'll still be feeling those butterflies. He'll still be feeling the nerves inside that tummy as he gets ready for his first Grand Prix since the Italian round in Mugello, where he stepped away. We wondered whether we would see him back at all in 2022. This is a real bonus, not just for Marc Marquez to test himself physically and get himself back to peak physical best over these last 6 Grand Prix, but a huge win for Honda, who are in a deep hole, aren't they? The underperforming RC213V badly needs the direction and the feedback of their fastest man, the superstar Marc Marquez. There's Jorge Martin then, a former Moto3 race winner here, a Moto2 podium man here in Aragon. He's got some support in the sun-drenched grandstands as well. Jorge Martin, he goes from the middle of the 3rd row in 8th place, and this man will certainly be feeling the effects of a very heavy crash this morning in the warm-up, Lewis. Alex Marquez.
Yeah, he went down very quickly at turn 4 in the warm-up session this morning. He went to the medical medical centre and was checked for potential injuries to his arm and to his neck, but he was declared fit to race here. It was certainly a mixed morning for the LCR team. Alex Marquez with his crash, his teammate Takeda Kagami topped the warm-up session. Not the first time we've said that over the years, but Alex Marquez, who starts this Grand Prix from 17th position on the grid, will have to go through the pain barrier, much like his brother, who's going to be testing his endurance here today.
What lies in store over the next hour or so for this man, Fabio Quattoraro? It would be a massive, massive bonus for him if he were to increase his World Championship lead. We're going into the Japanese Grand Prix in Motegi in just a few days' time. We've been told right from the get-go here in Aragon that it's going to be a time management race. Smooth and smart is what this race is all about, to save grip at the end. We just saw there a master of time management, Enea Bastianini on that Gresini Ducati. We've already seen evidence of it when he won so brilliantly earlier on in the season in Qatar, in Austin and in Le Mans. He was so close to defeating Bagnaia last time out in Misano. What are we thinking then? Of course, pre-race, Lewis, it looked like the preferred pick was going to be the hard front tyre, the medium rear tyre, and I believe Michelin have just released their provisional tyre sheet right on cue.
Yeah, there are the tyre options. The medium rear tyre here is the soft tyre from last year, which was the preferred option, and as forecast, it's exactly to the form book. 100% of the field, every single rider has left the pits to go to the grid with the hard front and the medium rear.
Just as we like it, a straightforward showdown then in terms of the tyre choice. On the sighting lap then, this is Fabio Quattoraro. He's going to have a big, big task. I mean, what can he do? How can he fight those Ducatis when he's got such a massive, obvious top speed deficit down that near 1,000 metre back straight? That's
aggression.
Where the Ducatis, yeah, I mean, he did say some of his moves today might be borderline legal, which is, you know, you don't hear that kind of fighting talk coming out of Fabio Quattoraro very often, because so often of his victories, the way he has to win Grand Prix, is he's starting from the front row, getting clear track ahead of him. What will surely be a niggle at the back of Quattararo's mind as well is, in these hot conditions, these cloudless skies, will be front tyre pressure, front tyre temperature. The temperature will go up, the pressure will go up. He's got to abuse the front tyre to make moves early on, which we know he has to do. And of course, recent history will tell us he qualified on pole position here, didn't he, Fabio Quattoraro, in one of the 2 Aragon races in 2020. And then the front tyre pressure issues just left him handcuffed. He couldn't barely ride the bike. He limped home in 18th place. Will that be playing at the back of his and Yamaha's mind today?
To give him and his fans watching a bit of a crumb of comfort, he is very, very good in the first sector of this circuit. That's the part of the racetrack where he's been making up a lot of his time. Obviously the fourth sector is where he's been losing it, so potentially off the line, if Fabio Quattoraro gets a good launch, he's going to have to attack first of all on the brakes into turn 1, but then also through the fast sweeping changes of directions of turns 3 and 4 into 5. Fabio Quattoraro will certainly be going on the attack on that opening lap if he gets a good launch off the line, and if he can get into that leading group, get away with Bagnaia and Bastianini, who are expecting to be the perhaps 2 leading contenders for victory. You can expect perhaps Fabio Quattoraro certainly to have the race pace to stay with them. Whether he can pass them is another matter entirely.
How will the latest Spargaro's home Grand Prix finish in about an hour's time? We didn't start very well on Friday. 2 crashes. One in FP1 at turn 16 when he ran onto a dirty part of the track. He had a bit of a whack to his left knee, and he was down again on Friday afternoon in the 14th corner when pushing for a direct place in Q2. But this is what the fans have been waiting for such a long time. Marc Marquez then comes to the grid in MotoGP for the first time since that Italian Grand Prix in Mugello. You can hear the reception he's getting from the crowd in the grandstands just flanking the main straight here. But as we mentioned, the big question on everybody's lips going into this Animoca Brands Grand Prix of Aragon is who can stop the seemingly invincible right now Pecco Bagnaia. 3 races in a row, Ducati have locked out the front row. The Ducati's such a weapon, isn't it, for one hot lap in qualifying trim, when they can run full power, light fuel load, brand new tyres, the GP22 and GP21. is such an amazing motorcycle. 12 poles they've had this year, the Borgo Panigale factory. That's a record for Ducati. Some sad news to bring you pre-race here in Aragon. Joan Mir, of course, cashing minds back to the Red Bull Ring Grand Prix in Austria. A vicious high side on the opening lap at turn number 4 left him with fractures in his right ankle and ligament damage in that right ankle. He bravely tried to ride here this weekend, having missed the last Grand Prix in Misano, but he had to withdraw after FP3. The pain, the discomfort, just far, far too much. And he will also be absent from next weekend's Japanese Grand Prix over at the Twin Motegi. Alex Rins and the lone representative for Suzuki here this weekend. Suzuki will have a full lineup on the grid next weekend in Japan. Get my words out eventually. Their scheduled wildcard, Takuya Suda-san, who was supposed to be a third GSXR ride next weekend, will just take the place of Joan Mir. So we hope Joan Mir will be back in the saddle of his factory Suzuki very, very quickly.
Let's take a quick look at the starting grid then. All riders on the hard front, medium rear. It's Bagnaia, Miller and Bastianini sharing the front row for the third consecutive Grand Prix. Aleix Espargaro, Johan Zarco and Fabio Quattoraro on row 2. Marco Bezzecchi heads row 3 ahead of Jorge Martin and the sole Suzuki of Alex Rins, a former winner, of course, around here. The KTMs have shown good pace this weekend. Both Brad Binder and Miguel Oliveira into Q2. They start 10th and 11th. Taka Nakagami 12th after topping the warm-up this morning. He's the top Honda. Marc Marquez 13th on his return ahead of Luca Marini and Fabio Di Gianantonio. Maverick Vinales out of position in 16th. Alex Marquez in pain in 17th, and Pol Espargaro completing row 6. Cal Crutchlow is back this weekend. He replaces Andrea Dovizioso for the rest of the season at RNF. He's 19th ahead of Franco Morbidelli and Ralph Fernandez. And completing your grid of 23, it's Remy Gardner and Darren Binder.
It could be a big, big day for Ducati. Are they going to take 1/3 of what they hope will be a triple crown in 2022? They can be crowned Constructor Champions again today here, but they want the big one. They want the rider title. And Pecco Bagnaia starts from pole position ahead of his teammate Jack Miller. Let's see the pre-race thoughts of Ducati Corsa. Sporting Director Paolo Ciabatti, I'm delighted to say, is on the grid now with Simon.
He is, because I had to come and ask you, Paolo, like always, your machines in time attack mode were incredible, but also looking at race pace, especially the one standing out to me would be Pecco and Enea. I'd love to hear your thoughts going into this race.
Well, you're right. I think especially Pecco and Enea, they have a very good race pace. Maybe Enea even slightly better. I don't know with these conditions now that it's a little bit hotter, but for sure they have a pace to do a race and fight for the race win and the podium. Let's see. I think if Fabio can get a good start, he also has a very good race pace. He's losing a lot in the last, in this fourth split, but let's see. Obviously, he's always a strong fighter. So, exciting race. We have good chances. Nothing for granted. Finger crossed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nacho Del Rio then leading off the pre-race ceremonies here ahead of this Animoca Brands Grand Prix of Aragon. Let's go back down to Simon Crafar on the grid. Simon, down to you.
Yes, I've got Mayo Marigali. Mayo, your rider, Fabio, also Frankie, but I'm genuinely nervous going into this one for Fabio, knowing he's got to put everything on the line. How do you feel?
I feel nervous a bit more than you. It's going to be, as always, a tough race. He put together a really good pace in these days, but as you know, when he can ride alone, he can exploit as much as he can I think the strong part of our bike. But if he stuck in between the others, he has to change his riding, he has to adapt the riding to the circumstance, and this is for us is very painful, because is where we cannot exploit the strongest point of Yamaha. It will be fundamental for him to have a really good start, and hopefully maybe to pull away and to break a little gap between him and the one behind him for a couple of laps. Then I think the race can maybe take a good path. But I think we are ready. We did all we could. He is really happy about the feeling he had of the bike. I think session by session we were able to really optimize all the areas. So now it's just up to him and the others.
Fantastic. Best of luck, Mayo.
Thank you.
Thanks, Simon. Thanks to Mayo Marigali. Can Fabio Quattoraro defend that 30-point lead he has in the World Championship? There's British rider Cal Crutchlow, of course, replacing Andrea Dovizioso in the With You Yamaha RNF team for the remaining 6 Grand Prix of this season.
He's brought his own fair share of humour and wisdom to the media debriefs once again this weekend as Cal Crutchlow, and a good job he's done as well in qualifying. A 147.5 is certainly shifting around this place. Marco Bezzecchi doesn't feel he has the pace to go forwards from 7th on the grid. It's more a case of defending what he's got with Jorge Martin alongside with Alex Rins, who we expect to be very, very strong from the 3rd row of the grid. He feels he has pace to go forwards from row 3. So Bezzecchi likely to be looking behind rather than ahead in this Grand Prix.
Now the MotoGP riders are starting to make their way towards the front of the grid very, very shortly. Marc Marquez on the Repsol Honda. There's his crew chief Santinanda looking pretty pensive in the background. Now on September the 8th, Majesty Queen Elizabeth II passed away at the age of 96, prompting a global outpouring of affection for the longest reigning monarch in British history. MotoGP very, very shortly will observe a minute of silence in her memory as the entire paddock comes together to pay their respects to the royal family and the people of the United Kingdom.
For a minute of silence in memory of Queen Elizabeth II. So an impeccably observed minute of silence
in memory of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. A state funeral will be held for the Queen at Westminster Abbey in London tomorrow at 11 AM UK time. We'll go down to Simon Crayford again then. Marc Marquez on his injury return. He's now with HRC team manager Alberto Puig.
Alberto, I'm sure it hasn't been easy. It must have been quite the opposite, but it looks like everything is going to plan step by step towards next year. How do you feel about it?
I hope. But it's not an easy at all, you're right. Anyway, important is that Mark is back, and he's still not full fit, clearly, but let's say that we are doing some recovery process on a racing day.
Thank you, and best of luck with that.
Thank you.
Thanks to Alberto Puig, and thanks to Simon. Speaking to some of the top men then across all the leading manufacturers on the grid. There's Jorge Martin, 8th place. I think he'd have been expecting a little bit better when you think of how strong the factory Ducatis are currently in qualifying trim, but don't discount him. He's got Marco Bezzecchi on his left-hand side. We'll now pause for the Spanish national anthem. So the Spanish national anthem then rings out here at MotorLand Aragon, and we'll pause now for the Aragon anthem. So the Spanish national anthem followed by the Aragon regional anthem, and we're getting ever closer to the start of round 15 of this year's MotoGP World Championship. Can Aprilia keep themselves firmly in the title hunt? Let's get some pre-race thoughts of their team manager Paolo Bonora with Simon.
Yeah, Paolo, I can imagine you're proud of Aleix yesterday afternoon's efforts. You know, it wasn't going easy, and he fought his way out of the corner, got himself a good lap time position on the grid. But how do you feel his race can go? Also his teammate at Mavericks.
Yeah, as you see, he did a very great qualifying lap. So after 2 crashes in during the free practice, he tried to find the best to get the good position, and for sure we are happy about this. We struggled a little bit with Maverick since the starting. He didn't find the same feeling as Misano because of the much less grip of the track since the first practice. But we hope for the race also with him.
Best of luck.
Thanks, also.
Thanks, Simon. Thanks to Paolo Bonora. It's a real shame, isn't it, actually, that Maverick Vinales just find himself way down the grid in 16th place, because without any question, in terms of his race pace, he's good enough to fight for the top 3 today, but coming through from 16th place, it's a big ask for Maverick Vinales, although he is in a rich vein of form on that factory Aprilia. We'll quickly pop back down to Simon on the grid as we look at the man in 2nd place. Jack Miller, Simon?
Yeah, I'm just with the anthems. I didn't get to catch Suzuki and KTM as well. I just wanted to say that if any of those, either of the two factory KTMs, or especially Alex Rins, gets a good enough start, I really think they can cause some problems.
Yeah, Alex Rins yesterday said that he needed to follow somebody to get a good grip position. He picked Pekka Bagnaia and was flat out keeping up with him because he got blitzed by 0.8 of a second. But he has got very good race pace, as Simon just mentioned. Believes he can fight for the podium. I suppose the concern for Rins and Brad Binder and Miguel Oliveira on those KTMs, they start 9th, 10th and 11th respectively, is how much rear tyre they'll use up, potentially trying to fight their way through, because we do expect this to be a big time management race, of significant drop-off in the latter stages. Already so far this year we've seen Bagnaia and Bastianini be the masters of time management. We just saw there Alberto Puig, big tap on the back of Marc Marquez as he gets ready for yet another comeback from that injury problems that started all the way back, didn't they, at the Jerez Grand Prix, at the kickoff of that delayed 2020 season in Andalusia. Is Marc Marquez going to, this time around, be back to his very, very best? A 6-time winner already here in MotorLand Aragon. This is the man, though, that they're all chasing right now. He might have muscled his way into second place in the World Championship, but he has been an unstoppable force over the last couple of months. Pekka Bagnaia, the winner in Assen, the winner in Silverstone, the winner at the Red Bull Ring, the winner most recently in Misano after an epic last lap battle with this man, Enea Bastianini. Can Pekka Bagnaia be just the third rider in MotoGP history to win 5 races in succession?
Well, of course, every race has championship implications. This one no different. The Constructors' Championship could be decided today. If Ducati are 125 points clear at the end of the afternoon, they will be crowned champions for a 3rd straight year. And
for the 3rd race in succession, it's a Ducati lockout of the front row. A 3rd straight front row start for Gresini Racing's Enea Bastianini. A 4th consecutive front row start for Australian Jack Miller, looking